Welcome back to our small kitchen here in town. For those of you who don't know me, I think sometimes I jump right in as if you know the whole entire story. I'll start with just a brief introduction before feeding my family what we are making for springtime. So I'm a mother of 9 children. We used to live on a little homestead with 7 acres, a beautiful old home. Well, we ended up finding a property that suited our family quite a bit better, but that required building a home. So for the last about a year now, a little bit more than a year, we have been building what I am calling a new old home in the country. We thought we'd be done by now, but isn't that just the case with about everything? Thinking that it's going to go faster than it is. So right now here on this channel, there's a lot of cooking for our large family, but then there's also house updates and peeks into our new farmhouse and homestead where we will be living very soon. When I am making a dough, I usually make more than one at one time and do sort of a bulk prep, especially at the beginning of the week. This gives me options to pull from throughout the week. So I just put together some pizza dough that we will obviously use to make pizzas, as well as roll dough, which will go well with anything, especially soups. This time of year, we're still doing quite a bit of soups. Now, when I am thinking about a springtime menu, or really any menu throughout the year, I like to think about things that are customizable, things that can be adapted as the season progresses and more things become available. Things like soups, pizzas, skillets like a sourdough skillet, and salads are all great examples of this because they're sort of a base that you can build on depending on what's available. Maybe something was on sale, or once the farmers markets begin, or your own garden, you can pull from and make it more seasonally appropriate. Of course, right now, it's not actually springtime. Things aren't quite ready yet, but I'm thinking ahead and knowing that very soon things will begin to change. When I think of springtime, I think of fresh greens and herbs. Even something like fresh cream is more of a springtime food because a lot of animals, dairy animals, will have their calves in the springtime. So when they're fresh in milk, that means that there will be a lot more cream, a lot more production. Also, eggs are quite a springtime food because as the light increases, the days get longer, hens tend to produce more eggs. We have a small flock here in town, and they have been quite the freeloaders over the wintertime, but even they are now actually producing quite a few eggs. So I'm finding more and more ways to use them. Not that we ever have trouble using a lot of eggs in our large family. We do a ton of baking. We make a lot of eggs for breakfast. We do just so many things. I still have to buy a lot of eggs. But when we were on our last homestead and we had several dozen hens, we got to the point where I had to figure out very creative ways to use up and preserve eggs in the springtime because we had just so many. Now today, I am making a creamy lemon chicken pasta recipe. I really like lemons in the springtime because they taste bright. We're coming away from these heavy soups and meats and heavy carbs of the wintertime, wanting something that has a bit of a fresher taste, something that pairs well with a salad. So this recipe is perfect because it kind of transitions from winter to summer. Still, we have heavy cream here, freshly grated Parmesan cheese and pasta, but then also some lemon and light chicken. It is a crowd pleaser for sure in my family. I will leave the link to the recipe in the description box below. I take care in my home to cook from scratch as much as possible because that way I can control the ingredients and the quality that goes into my family's bodies. Another place where quality is important is where we sleep, and that's why I want to say thank you to Birch for sponsoring today's video. March is National Sleep Awareness Month. Did you know that sleep restores and repairs the body? The body releases growth hormones, repairs muscle tissues, strengthens the immune system and regulates inflammation. Sleep also strengthens immune defense. During sleep, your body produces and releases cytokines. These are proteins that help fight infection and inflammation. So it is still sick season, kind of lingering on here, and having a proper sleep environment can really help your immune system to fight off everything. Birch makes mattresses that are natural and organic. They are free from polyurethane foams and fiberglass. We spend a third of our lives in bed, so it makes sense to prioritize that sleep environment, make it as healthy as possible. With Birch, you won't have the off-gassing that can happen in the conventional manufacturing process of making mattresses. Birch mattresses have natural breathability and cooling properties. Each Birch mattress is made with premium natural and organic materials to support breathability and temperature regulation, naturally hygroscopic wool, and natural latex that allows for increased airflow to keep you cool and comfortable. Birch has a certified safe and fiberglass-free mattress for everyone. Their Birch Kids mattresses are two-sided, so they work with your child as they grow. There's a softer side as they get a little bit older and a firmer side for younger sleepers. We have Birch mattresses all throughout our home and love them. Here in our room, we have the king size Birch Luxe mattress, which is extremely comfortable. It works great for us, especially now that we also have a new baby here in our room. Right now, Birch is running their Sleep Week sale exclusive partner offer for 27% off your Birch mattress. Head to birchliving.com/farmhouse. It'll also be linked down in the description box below. You can also grab the QR code here on the screen and get in on this awesome deal. You are?
No, Mom.
Huh? Something that makes its way onto a lot of our menu plans is pizza. Like I mentioned earlier, I love that it can be adapted for the season. So this time of year, it's lovely to put a lot of fresh herbs, even fresh greens. Now, something about sourdough that I try to teach is that it does not have to be complicated. There aren't a lot of rules that have to be followed. So for example, I am making this pizza the same day that I brought the dough together just because it worked out nicely to have it for dinner time. This morning, I pulled my sourdough starter directly from the refrigerator. It had not been fed in about a week or so because our family had a sickness that went through. So it was not active and bubbly like my blog post will even tell you that it should be. And yet the dough still had enough of a chance to rise and ferment to make very lovely pizzas. I also make my pizza dough with 100% whole grain. I make sure to measure the grains. That's really my trick when it comes to doing whole grain, to measure in grams as opposed to cups because they come out of the mill at different fluffiness levels depending on your mill settings and what type of grain you're using. So today for 4 whole grain pizzas, I am doing 560 grams of hard white wheat berries. I also made some bacon. I have fresh thyme, ricotta, fresh mozzarella. I'm also going to be doing a little drizzle of honey on top. This is something I've seen at pizza places, like specialty pizza places, and I've really been wanting to try, and it's definitely a winner, something that I want to put on a lot of our pizzas. Anytime I'm making pizza, though, I also do make one that is really easy for the kids to like, or a couple of ones that are easy for the younger kids to like, just basic red sauce, mozzarella, and some kind of meat. I thought it would be nice to also top the pizza with a bit of arugula. Now, I also made these whole grain dinner rolls with starter that was not bubbly and active, that was just in the refrigerator. Now, I have since fed it for some baking endeavors this week. But as you can see, they still rise and work out good enough with dormant starter. I usually like to put my baked goods in a warm place if I'm trying to accelerate the process or if I know that the starter isn't very active. But either way, they will come together and they will work. I do it all the time. The next thing on the springtime menu that we'll be making over and over again is the easy creamy chicken kale soup recipe over on my website. I love using fresh greens in the springtime. It's still cool outside, so we're still enjoying homemade bone broth and soups. They're nourishing and comforting, and they are especially lovely served alongside a whole grain sourdough dinner roll. We are in a very busy season of life right now. Between finishing up our new old house build, there are so many little details in that final time. Plus, Luke is doing a lot of work himself, so we are very back and forth. We're there a lot, we're here a lot. I need a few meals that are very easy in my arsenal for this season. So today I am making a springtime sheet pan meal. I just love these because they take 5 or 10 minutes to throw together. They are delicious and nutritious, so it checks all of the boxes. I'm just using chicken thighs, some springtime vegetables like radishes and asparagus. Also, I'm just going to throw on some potatoes and some things that are well loved by our family. Sprinkle it with a ton of oil and salt and paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, and then just put it in the oven and forget about it. Perfect for this busy season of life. Something that always ends up back on the menu during springtime is a large salad. So like a dinner salad, you can put all kinds of toppings from fresh seasonal vegetables to hard-boiled eggs and avocados. Today, I am making a balsamic vinaigrette type of dressing with balsamic vinegar, honey, Dijon mustard, and olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. It's really simple and basic and dresses this salad beautifully. In the springtime, when I have a lot of access to very fresh eggs, I prefer to make hard-boiled eggs in the Instant Pot. This helps to release the peels a lot better. So sometimes, I don't know if you've noticed, if you have really fresh eggs and you've tried to hard-boil them in the usual way that you might do that, you will find that the peels come off in these tiny little parts and they really stick to the egg and bring a lot of egg with them. But if you put them on a trivet in the Instant Pot with just a small amount of water, it sort of steams the eggs. It actually makes them a lot easier to peel. I'm also going to toast some walnuts. Luke's been adding walnuts to all of his salads lately. He likes to have a salad with just about every meal, and I thought they'd be a lovely addition to this. I just thought giving them a quick toast in the cast iron skillet would make them even more flavorful. I'm also adding fresh herbs to this salad, so parsley and thyme to make it a bit more spring-like. Another dressing option, which is great to use up some fresh spring milk, is a milk kefir ranch. I do have this recipe over on my website. It's really simple to mix up, and I especially love it this time of year. Plus, you're adding a lot of probiotic benefits in the milk kefir, which we always have plenty of. The last item on our springtime menu is a sourdough skillet. I used to make these on here all the time, but we've kind of forgotten about them. And you can make infinite variations of a sourdough skillet. It is essentially a combination of meat and vegetables, any of your choosing, but then you top it with a mixture of sourdough starter, a little baking powder, 3 eggs, salt, a little bit of butter, and it makes this bread-like mixture on top. So instead of having to make bread and the meal, it's all in one skillet. so it's really easy and fast. We also like to top it with cheese. I will leave all the links to the recipes in the description box below. Thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen as I make food for my family in this new beautiful season that I am so excited about.